Welcome. It's not just Michael and Michael, but it's Natalie joining because we have a lot to talk about. You heard from the woman, so I think it's only right that a woman be up here to have this conversation with you guys. Uh, that was Angel Reese. That was Alexis Morris. That was just all of the LSU players speaking and talking about their reaction to winning, but also how the media has treated them, which has been a constant theme, not just of the Final Four, not just of the championship game, but all season. Angel Reese has been dealing with it. Dawn Staley has been speaking out about it all year in terms of coverage of women's basketball, but also the coverage of her team specifically. And this has been a thing that we've talked about on the show. I've addressed it and we've had guests on to address it. So now the world got to see it. They got to see it because after LSU won, and this is what we should be talking about. We should be talking about LSU winning and the fact that they dominated. But instead, or also, we have to talk about the treatment and the commentary on Angel Reese after the game because she decided to taunt Caitlin Clark because she won. And the commentary that ensued afterwards was problematic.
Well, what was so problematic? No, stay right there. Stay right on that curb. Keep the car running. Natalie, doing a great job. What was so problematic about the commentary, and problematic from whom, and problematic why? Let's get into that.
Sure. Well, I actually shouldn't even. I shouldn't sanitize it. It was racist commentary, is actually what it was.
Ooh, I like
We
it.
heard a lot
Okay,
of
all right.
dog whistles, a lot of coded language. So we heard classless. That was a common one that was used to show or to describe her. An idiot. I'm removing some curse words that were used to describe her. What else?
Yeah, the idiot. The
Garbage.
idiot one was interesting.
Garbage.
The idiot one was interesting because I didn't know if he was talking about somebody else or talking about himself. Probably talking about himself.
Yeah,
with that. But anyway, go ahead.
Yeah, garbage. I mean, these were the way grown white men were choosing to describe young Black girls. There you have it. Dave Portnoy, like he has no business speaking about class. Keith Olbermann, as we already said what he said, and garbage. I mean, look at the words used to describe this young Black woman. Doing a taunt, by the way, that Caitlin Clark herself did in earlier games where it was celebrated. And we said, we love that women do these things. And yet this is how Angel Reese was described afterwards. But you know what I love about Angel Reese? She is unapologetic. She has been unapologetic all season. And so she doesn't care about how you describe her. And that's why she said, this is for the girls who look like me. This was bigger than me. And I'm so happy that she said that. And I stand behind her. And I know many of us do.
Yeah, Mike, I don't know how you feel about this. I mean, there's a lot to get into with this tournament. First of all, the women's tournament was remarkable. It was remarkable in the product, the ratings backed it up. Just a lot of entertainment, a lot of great competitive games. The favorite did not win. I was rooting for South Carolina. I'll tell you that up front. I thought they were going to go back-to-back national championships. But Iowa did an amazing job on Friday night locking them down and getting them to play a game that they really didn't want to play. So props to Iowa and Caitlin Clark on Friday night. But give it up to LSU and Angel Reese and friends on Sunday afternoon. They really, even when Iowa made that run, made it look like they were going to come back. They cut it to like 7 or 8. Then LSU put them away. But I want to say to both of you, just watching women's basketball, as I've said many times, I continue to shout out my family. As I said many times, my cousin, Nikesha Sales, was on an undefeated national championship team in UConn in 1995. And I covered that team. I saw many of their games. And at that time, not just women's basketball, but women's sports. So they were undefeated in 95. The 1999 U.S. women's national soccer team with Mia Hamm and others, they were all celebrated, but they were celebrated not as their competitiveness. The dog that they had in them was minimized, and it was almost like this cutesy, it was pandering, it was condescending. as I look at it in retrospect, the coverage was condescending. They weren't focused. Their athletic feats were not emphasized enough. It was more like this cute little thing. And the sport has grown. The commentary needs to grow up. Dave Portnoy, grow up. Keith Olbermann, grow up. You're not talking about little girls playing basketball as like some little side alternative. This is a good product. They're taking it to the next level. The game is different. The NIL components from some of the women outweighs the men significantly. So they're good on the court, they're good off the court. And when we watch men play and we see them do all sorts of things, all sorts of antics, regardless of their race, we ain't got nothing to say about it, or very little to say about it. And all she did was point to her ring and then throw back, Mike, to Caitlin Clark, what Clark had already done earlier in the tournament. What are we talking about? What's the problem here? I don't understand.
Yeah. Yeah, it's ironic that the double-double queen is not a face of double standards. I'm gonna tell you, man, I loved it. I loved everything about last night. I loved everything, even the toxicity. I loved it all. Because it was necessary. You know, first of all, shout out to LSU, phenomenal performance. Congratulations, LSU. First, and this is a school that has Shaquille O'Neal and Mahmoud Abdul-Rauf, previously known as Chris Jackson. First national championship in school history, right? So,
and Pete Maravich.
I got to tell you.
And Pistol Pete.
And Pete Maravich. And Pistol Pete. And Pistol Pete. I grew up on Shaq and Chris Jackson, Mahmoud Abdul-Rauf, but yes, and Pistol Pete. So, shout out to LSU. And you're right, Natalie. That's what we should be talking about. But as we talked about last week, this is growth. This is growth because what I saw yesterday, both on the court and on social media, was passion, was investment. And the more emotionally invested people are in this great game, the more financially invested people will become in this great game and in these great women. Listen, man, the thing I like about Angel Reese is she's consistent. And Michael, you remember I got in some trouble because remember I came to the defense of Sha'Carri Richardson last summer. I was like, I'm all for people that keep that same
energy. Same energy. That same energy. Right.
So Angel Reese, this is, but for the casuals and for the people that only tune in for the Final Four, even the final, they don't know this about her. This is who she is. This is who she's been. This is who she's always going to be. In a word, Natalie, you're right, unapologetic, right? So I love that about Angel Reese. Secondly, Caitlin Clark doesn't need anybody to protect her. She's doing just fine. And if she can, and I'm sure she would say if she can dish it, she can take it. She did it to Haley Van Lith, so this is what goes around comes around. Now, whether you feel like it was classless or it was unsportsmanlike, listen, man, this is sports, okay? Like this is we have long this feels so much. I thought we were past this for women because this is Serena Williams. I mean, we've had this conversation so many times about women in sports and what's the proper behavior for women because as we've all said, guys do this kind of thing all the time. But what we also see all the time in men's sports is the racial double standard because a Tom Brady can go off on the sideline at his coaches and teammates and his leadership, but a black wide receiver or quarterback goes off and he's being a diva, okay? So in this instance, the double standard is clear, and I enjoyed and appreciated. I mean, obviously, poor foul language and name calling notwithstanding, I enjoyed people further exposing themselves, and I enjoyed people checking them right where they were on this issue. Like all last night and all this morning, there's been a lot of people.
Mike, you're saying they've been consistent too. They're keeping the same energy too.
Michael, you know the phrase that's been in my head since last week is learned and affirmed. Shout out to our boy Jim Trotter. Learned and affirmed. Lessons learned and affirmed. Like these folks ain't telling us nothing we didn't already know. There are no new things under the sun when it comes to double standards for black people, double standards for women, and quadruple standards for black women, okay? So this was all
Right.
this was not a new conversation. This is an ongoing conversation. But here's the difference. Here's the difference about this weekend. Because I thought we would come in here today talking about the final and then talking about Dawn Staley, who we'll get to in more detail in a moment. But the theme with what Dawn Staley had to say, the theme of what Angel Reese had to say, is like, they're not just gonna sit here and take it anymore. These black women are fed the F up.
Yes.
Okay? They hear
Yes.
you, they see you, and they ain't just gonna sit there and take it quietly. So, as Angel said, this was bigger than her. She had this whole thing saved in drafts. Because and what Dawn Staley had to say about the coverage of South Carolina and what you guys discussed, Natalie, as you mentioned, and what Angel did on the court was nothing happens in a vacuum. Just like everybody is bringing their baggage to the conversation on social media and in public, these young women brought a season's worth of frustration, especially Angel, brought a season's worth of frustration and took it out on Caitlin Clark. Caitlin Clark, who they felt like, wait a second, they've been watching do all the same stuff that she does and be praised for it. Again, that's not new. So this was something that, as she said, she couldn't wait to get off her chest. They couldn't wait to say, and I can't wait for next year because I'm enjoying it, and this is not good for the game. This is great for the game.
This was great for the game.
This is toxic, but healthy conversation or debate. Even if some people are not going to be swayed from where they are, or they're not going to change, and some things will never change.
I don't know about that. Let me push back. Hold on. Let me push back. Where's the healthy conversation coming from? I mean,
just calling it out, just holding people accountable, just calling it out.
Okay, I guess.
Just not letting it slide. Like Dawn Staley did not. She said she was going to say what she had to say, win or lose,
regardless. Yeah.
Right. In the past, that's the reason why misogyny and sexism and racism, well, not the reason, but part of the reason why it's so rampant and it's so systemic is for so long it's gone unchecked. What I love about 2023, what I love about Dawn Staley, what I love about Angel Reese is it is not going unchecked. That's what I mean by healthy.
Yeah, agreed. And I loved everybody who were checking people, right? And I appreciate really all the white people who were checking people. And this is one thing that I have to give credit to with the people who are devoted and dedicated to covering women's basketball, who've been in this space, who've been bringing light to it, because many of them have been calling out the double standard. WNBA players, Kelsey Plum, I've noticed this before. Mm-hmm. She has called out the W for their standard because this bias, this distinction in the way white players versus the black players are discussed is not just in college. It is also exists at the W. It exists at the professional level.
It exists in every workplace in America.
Yes, exactly.
And you know what, Natalie?
But you know what?
I'm so glad.
Nothing could be so blatant, though, than them getting so upset about what Angel Reese did when it was the exact same thing that Caitlin did. And when you show the side-by-side picture of it or the video of the two of them doing the same thing, now we got the reason why Caitlin's is different versus Angel. So it will just never stop. Even when you put the proof right in front of them, they're telling me, oh, well, you know, she didn't go around and taunt her for as long, or she didn't do it for as many seconds, or
yeah,
it's
okay,
just the most
all right.
absurd things I've ever heard.
It's crazy. Hey, Natalie, I'm going to say, I'm so glad that you all were ahead of this. This was last week. You were ahead of it. We talked about it. We talked about it right here in this space. So it's almost like maybe this is not where you want to be prophetic because you don't want this to happen, but it was prophetic. Talked about it. And the nation, more eyeballs saw it play out on Sunday afternoon. The last thing I'll say, Mike and Natalie, is I'm going to get me an Angel Reese LSU jersey. I'm getting me a jersey. Yes. I'm getting a jersey. Number 10, LSU. I'm rocking it right here on Brother from Another. Good for them. And I wasn't even room for them. I wasn't even room for them because of Monkey.
Let me tell you why. Let me tell you why.
After yesterday, I had to, but going into the weekend, I wanted South Carolina all the way.
I want to point out something that may not be as apparent to everyone, because for people who are, many of us who are fans of the sport and fans of these women, it was actually a tough decision. Like, once South Carolina got knocked out, for the culture, that is, it was a tough decision on who to root for, because like everyone loves Caitlin Clark. She's amazing. But there was a lot going on with Iowa and the fan base and in the arena. Natasha Cloud spoke up on it, as well as just online. And I don't want to sit here and like say the whole Iowa fan base is bad, but throughout the Final Four and the championship, there were lots of reports of racism and racist things being said. And so, but some people don't like Kim either because of her comments on Brittany Griner and other things she has said. So a lot of us took the position like we are rooting for the players of LSU. And I've been an Angel Reese fan, so it was easy to root for them. But like there was also this cultural kind of thing, like we are not supporting Iowa. Like, shout out to Caitlin Clark, she's great, but we can't root for them, because there really was. I mean, people just throughout the whole weekend were saying their reports of things that were said to them in arena. And, there's a lot of racism at play, and we do need to talk about it out loud and not hide it. And in fact, I felt like many of the headlines, even covering it, were still trying to sanitize it and not talking about the real issue. So that's why I want to talk about it. I want to be out loud about it. And I had no problem supporting Angel Reese. And I also want to point out just one last thing why Alexis Morris made her comment, because a lot of people went at Alexis Morris and said, oh, like she's attacking Caitlin, and she wasn't. When she said, Caitlin, you're a hell of a player, but you got to put some respect on our name, that was a message to the media. Not to Caitlin, because the media covered the games as though no other players exist. And part of that was also just, they were offended. That's the thing. Like, LSU felt disrespected by the way Iowa chose to cover South Carolina. They felt disrespected by it.
The self-check gesture. The self-check gesture. Alexis, there's video of Alexis going to outside the locker room to meet with Caitlin Clark, saying, man, she a dog. I can't wait to meet her. So the respect is there. The competitive respect is there. But ultimately, again, these are competitors. Wherever you come down on trash talking or showboating, like trash talking has been a part of sports since the dawn of time. Okay, so it's like if we remove the racial connotations and the racial double standards and even the context of the whole thing, and you're just like, hey, did she go too far? Some people may not dig it. Like, honestly, I mean, I coach. Y'all know I coach AAU basketball. If one of my players did it, I probably have a problem with it. But I'm not going to sit up here and tell Angel Reese how to be somebody that she's not, because again, this is who she's always been. Okay, and Caitlin Clark.
And you have a problem with it, man or woman, though, right? You're saying like you wouldn't like that.
Yeah, man or woman. Like if one of my boys did that, I'd be like, yo, chill or whatever. You know what I'm saying? But in the larger grand scheme of things, and when it comes to Angel Reese and her persona, this is who she has been consistently.
That's it. And Mike, I know we're up against it. So 2 quick things. One, I like what you just said there about trash talk. It's been going on for a long time. I mean, back in the day, Athens was talking trash to Sparta and vice versa. They used to go at it, okay? That's just as long as we can remember. But
I don't know if that ended well for Athens.
It probably didn't. But for those people who have a problem with what they saw yesterday, do they also have a problem with Tyreek Hill going into the end zone saying peace, or guys just kind of like trotting backwards before they get into the end zone and falling in basketball, or the too short move in all sports? In basketball, in the NBA.
Too small is my favorite.
That's like, so, okay, and if you are, okay, I stand corrected, but I don't think you are. I think you're full of it. Other thing is, Natalie, I know you're very diplomatic. You're very careful not to paint the entire Iowa fan base with any kind of racist accusations. But isn't it interesting? Was there anything with Iowa and race in the news lately? Yeah. I'm starting to see here, Iowa. I'm starting to see a pattern, because the football team had a lot of issues They had a lot of issues over the last few years. It's been in the news. And here we go. Here we are again with the players saying, I don't like what's going on here. I'm not accusing you, but I'm watching. You can't see me. I can see you,
listen, though. There was some, you use the word problematic, Natalie, and it was. And the solution is to address it. I don't want to overstate it, because whether it's the University of Tennessee, whether it's Stanford, whether it's UConn, obviously, whether it's South Carolina, like, women's basketball has been healthy and growing and thriving for a long time. But this weekend really felt like a watershed moment for women's basketball. All of it, because like the next step in the coverage is when it goes beyond just the novelty of it and the appreciation of it, and we start using women's basketball the way we use other sports, which is as a launching pad for deeper, larger societal conversations. Women's basketball, I've never seen a country, again, not to be hyperbolic, I don't remember seeing a country this captivated by the women's Final Four. And I don't think it had anything to do with the men's lack of blue blood.
Yeah.
It was just good quality teams and storylines and personalities that people were drawn to. And this is an inflection point and a watershed moment for women's basketball.
Right. I remember a guy from Golden State doing a good night little gesture.
A shimmy?
or a shimmy? And holding
night.
up his ring, saying ring. Hey, thank you for watching Brother from Another. If you haven't hit that subscribe button, go ahead and do that now. Don't forget, you can catch us 3 to 4 weekdays on PeacockTV.com and on Sirius XM Channel 85.